The country clubs sparkled with old money and older attitudes as I adjusted my simple black vest, standard valet attire. My father's retirement party was in full swing inside, but here I stood at the valet station, courtesy of my family's thoughtful planning. "Jessica, darling," Aunt Margaret had insisted earlier, "you're so good with practical things. Why not help out tonight?" Translation: keep the embarrassing tech failure out of sight. I checked my phone discreetly, another message from my CFO about tomorrow's announcement. The numbers made me smile as I slipped the device back into my pocket. Still glued to that phone? Cousin James approached the stand, his Rolex catching the evening light. Social media won't pay the bills, you know. If he only knew what those quick phone checks were really about. My company's valuation had just cleared final review, and tomorrow's IPO would make headlines. "Someone has to park the cars," I replied mildly, watching him adjust his $1,000 suit. "At least you found your calling," he smirked. "Banking too challenging?" I thought of the banking software my company had developed. The one James's firm had desperately tried to license last month, not knowing it was mine. "I manage," I said, taking another set of keys from our arriving guest. The party inside grew louder. Through the grand windows I could see my father holding court, probably explaining again how his poor Jessica had thrown away her MBA to play with computers. "Hey, parking girl." Another cousin waved from his Mercedes. "Try not to scratch it like those failed apps of yours." Failed apps. Right. The same failed technology that was about to revolutionize global finance. The same worthless code that had major banks in bidding wars. My phone buzzed again, the NASDAQ confirmation. Everything was set for tomorrow's opening bell. "You know," James leaned against the valet stand, "there's still a junior position open at my firm. Entry-level, of course. Perfect for someone with your limited experience." I bit back a laugh, remembering how his firm so had begged for a meeting last week, not realizing the mysterious founder they were pursuing was his colleague's wayward cousin. "Thanks, but I'm good," I replied, watching another luxury car pull up. "Still dreaming of that tech startup?" He chuckled. "What was it called again?" "Something silly." "Quantum Flow Technologies," I said quietly, just as a news alert lit up the TV visible through the club's window. James didn't notice the screen behind him, too busy pontificating about realistic career choices and accepting one's limitations. My phone vibrated continuously now, board members, investors, and reporters all trying to reach me before tomorrow's announcement. The same announcement that would turn the financial world upside down. "Your father's so worried," James continued. "All that education wasted on failed apps and parking cars." The TV screen changed again, showing stock market predictions for tomorrow. I caught a glimpse of my company's logo, but James was still facing me, oblivious. "Here," he tossed his keys at me. "Try not to dent my Porsche. It's worth more than your entire company." If he turned around, he'd have seen his own firm's logo among the list of major investors in tomorrow's IPO. The irony would have been delicious. "Did you at least dress properly for the party?" he asked, eyeing my valet uniform. My uniform was actually tailored Italian wool, chosen to blend in while I watched my family reveal their true colors. The simple vest probably cost more than his suit. "I brought a change of clothes," I said, thinking of the designer dress in my car, the one I'd wear for tomorrow's opening bell ceremony. "Well, try not to embarrass the family more than..." James stopped mid-sentence as the TV behind him suddenly got louder. "Breaking news," the anchor announced, "tomorrow's most anticipated IPO." I watched James's face as he slowly turned toward the screen, just in time to see my official headshot appear next to the words "Quantum Flow Technologies valued at $4.2 billion. His keys slipped from my hand, hitting the pavement with a satisfying clink. "That's..." he stammered, looking between me and the screen. "That's not..." Through the club's windows I could see other party guests noticing the broadcast. My father had stopped mid-speech, his champagne glass frozen halfway to his lips. The valet stand suddenly felt like the perfect spot to watch my family's world turn upside down. "About that junior position," I said, picking up his keys. "I'll have to pass. I'm actually quite busy tomorrow morning." The TV continued its report as James stood there, speechless. Tomorrow would be interesting, but tonight? Tonight was priceless. "And now more on our breaking story," the TV anchor continued. Quantum Flow Technologies, led by CEO Jessica Miller, is set to launch the largest tech IPO of the year. The country club's perfect atmosphere cracked like fine china. Through the windows, I watched as phones began lighting up across the party room. My father's retirement celebration was about to become something else entirely. "This is impossible," James whispered, still staring at the screen where my company's statistics scrolled past. "You park cars." Actually, I pulled out my phone displaying our company's private dashboard. I revolutionized quantum computing and financial technology. Parking cars is just tonight's entertainment. The club's doors burst open as Aunt Margaret rushed out, her designer heels clicking frantically on the pavement. "Jessica, the news, they're saying that your car parking niece is worth more than everyone at this party combined?" I smiled, straightening my uniform vest. "The numbers are actually a bit low. They'll update in the morning." More family members spilled out onto the entrance plaza, their faces illuminated by the TV screens visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Each broadcast now carried the same story. The mysterious tech founder they'd been speculating about for months was the same cousin they'd banished to valet duty. "But your failed apps," James sputtered. "Your worthless code. You mean the algorithm your firm tried to buy last month?" I pulled up the email chain on my phone. "The one your CEO offered $2 billion for? I declined because it was worth more." Uncle Robert pushed through the growing crowd. "That was your company? We've been implementing your software at the bank for months." "I know," I replied. "I watched the installation team. They thought I was the coffee girl." My phone buzzed again, the stock exchange confirming my opening bell appearance. On the TV, financial analysts were already predicting a historic first-day trading surge. "Your father," Aunt Margaret gestured weakly toward the club. "He said you were struggling." Dad assumed. I never corrected him. I checked another notification. Just like I never corrected James when he mocked my cheap apartment last Christmas. "The penthouse on 5th? James's face went pale. "The one our firm tried to buy?" "I own the building," I said simply. "Along with the tech campus your company's trying to lease. We should discuss the rent sometime." The valets, actually my senior engineers in disguise, were quietly enjoying the show. We'd planned this reveal down to the last detail, tired of being underestimated by my family of traditional finance experts. "Tomorrow morning," I continued, checking my watch, "while you're driving to your mid-level banking jobs, I'll be ringing the opening bell at NASDAQ. The dress I'm wearing costs more than your car, James. Not that money is everything, but since that's all you seem to care about." Inside the club, the TV showed footage of our company's headquarters, a gleaming tower of glass and innovation. The same building my family had dismissed as another tech bubble waiting to burst. "Those investor meetings you mocked," I turned to James, "the ones you said were pretend business? That was me raising billions in funding. That social media addiction you laughed at? Board meetings with Silicon Valley's elite." My father appeared in the doorway, his retirement speech forgotten. Behind him, waiters carried trays of champagne, servers I'd secretly hired from my company's private events team. "The algorithm," Uncle Robert was still processing, "the one that's revolutionizing banking, was developed in my worthless startup," I finished. "The same one you refused to invest in last year. That $100,000 you turned down would have been worth $40 million tomorrow." James slumped against his precious Porsche, the same model I had 3 of, gathering dust in my garage. "The valet uniform," Aunt Margaret touched my sleeve, finally noticing the fabric quality. "Custom-made. Like everything else in my struggling life." I smiled as another news alert lit up the screens. "Oh look, they're showing my car collection. James, you might recognize some of them. They're what you call real success markers, right?" The evening air crackled with shifting power dynamics and shattered assumptions. Tomorrow, I'd stand on the stock exchange podium in a dress worth more than James's annual salary. But tonight, in my elegant valet disguise, I was exactly where I wanted to be, watching my family realize that success doesn't always wear a banker's suit. "Now," I said, holding up James's keys, "about your Porsche. Would you like me to park it next to my fleet, or should we discuss how badly your firm wants that tech campus lease?" The country club's elegant lighting cast long shadows as my family struggled to reconcile their failing relative with the breaking news still flashing across every screen. My phone had become a symphony of notifications, world leaders, tech giants, and financial institutions all trying to reach me before tomorrow's historic IPO. The coding sessions in your apartment. My father finally spoke, his retirement party completely forgotten. The ones we said were a waste of time. We're worth about $8 billion in intellectual property. I showed him the patent documents on my phone. That tiny apartment is actually 3 floors of a building I own. The messy workspace you complained about is a quantum computing lab. The valets, my senior engineers, were now openly grinning as they handed out NDA-sealed envelopes to the shocked family members. Each contained tomorrow's trading details and a personal note about their past career advice. Remember last Thanksgiving? I turned to James, who was still ashen-faced. When you explained basic investment to me like I was a child? He nodded weakly. I was closing a deal with your bank CEO at the time. Under the table on my phone. I pulled up the contract. While you lectured me about savings accounts, I bought the fintech company you've been trying to partner with. The TV screens were now showing my company's innovations, breakthrough technologies that had been hiding in plain sight while my family dismissed my hobby. That dating app you thought I was always checking? I continued, addressing the gathered crowd. Custom-built security software. Those social media posts you mocked? Market analysis running on quantum processors. The online shopping you ridiculed? Real-time trading algorithms managing billions. Aunt Margaret clutched her champagne glass. The charity gala last month when you said you couldn't afford a ticket. I sponsored the event, I smiled. That waiter who served you? Nobel laureate in physics. The coat check girl? MIT's head of AI research. We were all there watching, gathering data on potential investors. Through the club's windows, I could see the staff replacing my father's retirement decorations with streaming financial data. My staff, carefully planted months ago for this moment. Those rideshare drives you said I was doing for extra money? I caught James's eye. Testing autonomous vehicle software. Your firm just bid $50 million for the prototype, by the way. I declined. My phone lit up with another message. The exchange wanted to know which of my cars I'd be driving to the opening bell ceremony. The same cars my family had never seen because, poor Jessica, always took Uber. The coffee shop where you saw me working last week, I said to Uncle Robert. The one you called a step up from unemployment? I own the building. The tips you left so generously are funding AI research. The valets began bringing around cars. Not the guests' vehicles but my private fleet. Each worth more than my family's combined annual income. Tomorrow morning, I continued, straightening my vest, while you're reading about my company's IPO, I'll be signing contracts worth billions. The simple dress I'm wearing to the ceremony costs more than your house, Aunt Margaret. The cheap watch tracking my notifications? Limited edition quantum-powered prototype. Only 3 exist. My father stepped forward, his retirement speech cards falling forgotten from his pocket. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. Between explaining how I was wasting my education and assigning me to park cars at your party? The TV screens now showed my global offices, my revolutionary patents, my philanthropic projects. All built while my family was busy pitying my downward spiral in tech. That startup accelerator you rejected my application for, James? I turned to my cousin. I bought it last month. Your recommendation letter makes for interesting reading in our Museum of Innovation. A sleek helicopter approached the country club, right on schedule. My actual transport to tomorrow's ceremony, though tonight it was just part of the show. The valet stand, I said, removing my vest to reveal a designer outfit that probably cost more than the country club's monthly revenue, was never about parking cars. It was about watching you all show your true colors one last time. The helicopter landed as my security team, disguised as club staff all evening, moved into formation. Tomorrow the world would know me as the visionary CEO who transformed technology. But tonight's revelation, watching my family's carefully constructed hierarchy crumble, was priceless. By the way, I added, handling James his keys one final time, your firm's merger proposal? The one you've been working on for months? The mystery company you've been courting? I smiled. That's also me. Better update your resume. The night air hummed with changed fortunes and shattered assumptions. Tomorrow would bring headlines, stock tickers, and billion-dollar deals. But this moment, standing in the glow of revelation while my family processed their years of misplaced condescension, this was the true IPO of my success. Now, I said as my helicopter's blades cut through the evening air, I believe you all have some cars to park. I have a bell to ring.